How unexpected and heartbreaking the ending was for everyone watching.
Exchange with him and he'd shoot in. What's happened? Oh my God, McGregor's done already. Well, he's finished. The new boy is in town. The main man's here. Know what I mean? I can become the face of the organisation now. But yeah, great. What a performance from me. Don't want to blow smoke up my own ass, but what a performance.
Paddy Pimblett had an immediate reaction of his own the moment he saw Conor McGregor's fight come to an abrupt halt. Watching the injury play out, Pimblett quickly grasped what it might mean for the division, celebrating his own win while wondering aloud if a fresh contender was about to rise through the ranks.
Snaps his foot, and he winces in pain. Fuck! I fucking hate my life! This is one fucking escape I get, and it's shit! And McGregor just limping around like my fucking man! Fuck!
An MMA analyst known as MMA Guru was visibly rattled watching Conor McGregor's long-awaited return collapse in such a painful way. The injury left him stunned and disappointed, especially given how much buzz had built up around McGregor stepping back into the cage. Plenty of fans shared that same gut-punch feeling, a reminder of how fast fortunes can flip inside the arena. Joe Rogan, meanwhile, broke the moment down from a technical angle, wondering out loud whether McGregor's forward pressure was actually part of the game plan going in. He pointed to the danger built into that particular kick, and floated the idea that McGregor's history with leg injuries may have factored into the sudden collapse.
This was literally the very first thing that McGregor did. He came out, right, the announcers are talking about he's full of energy, right? It's his first fight out, and he goes and throws this crazy, ridiculous kick, and he lands really awkwardly on that right leg. Now, a lot of people are going to see this. The commentators were talking about it looked like he blew out his knee. I will admit, yes, this position looks like the classic position that you will see with an ACL tear in terms of the rotation of how the foot is externally rotated, the idea that we see a little bit of the knee going inward, the trunk is leaning over his injured side. But what you don't see on this injury is the classic pivot shift that you will sometimes see with an ACL tear. Now, that doesn't mean that this is not an ACL tear, but you at least don't see that stereotypical kind of pathognomonic shift forward of the tibia and then pop backwards like we would if you could confirm 100% that this was an ACL. I think looking at it from this view is a little bit better because we can see kind of straight on. So here he goes and jumps off of that right side, twists as he lands down. This is
Following Conor McGregor's dramatic injury at UFC 329, a medical commentator identified as Dr. Brian broke down the play and offered his take on what likely happened to McGregor's knee. He explained that the awkward landing produced intense rotational stress on the joint, the kind of motion frequently tied to ACL tears. Still, he cautioned that video alone couldn't confirm exactly what was damaged, noting that only formal medical imaging could settle the question. His breakdown showed how a single risky maneuver derailed a comeback fans had waited years for. Looking closer at the sequence, he pointed to the jumping roundhouse kick McGregor threw at the opening bell as the source of the trouble. The explosive nature of the move put enormous twisting pressure on his leg, leaving the knee in a compromised position the instant he landed. What followed made the landing look even more unnatural. In a single motion, one of the sport's most anticipated returns turned into a devastating setback. There's one story I keep coming back to, one I don't usually bring up. It went something like this.
Mario, did you watch the main event at all? Did you see kind of the unfortunate way that ended?
I seen a little bit. I heard he kind of did like a flying skip knee kind of thing and landed and buckled his knee. It's unfortunate, you know. It's unfortunate.
Several UFC fighters were left in disbelief after watching Conor McGregor's comeback end within moments of the opening bell. Sean O'Malley and Mario Bautista both voiced their shock at how suddenly things unraveled. It was a gut-wrenching moment for the MMA community, but Dr. Brian suggested the injury to McGregor's leg might not fit the usual ACL pattern.
on the list. Just pointing out you don't see that classic pivot shift like we have seen in other cases. Subsequent sequences, right, they kept saying he was slipping. He's not slipping. Every time he tried to put any semblance of weight on that right leg, we could see him go down. Again, we really didn't see any continued pivot shift. We didn't see any forward tibia translation on this one here either. This was towards the very end. He steps again to put a little bit of weight on that leg. We can see it's very unsteady, and then just all of his weight kind of collapses as he completely comes up off of that foot. Now what's interesting is when you look at the very last sort of sequence of the fight before it was finally called off, again, we're looking at McGregor's right leg here, and if anything, you almost see like a forward translation of his femur. So, right, whenever the ACL tears, you're gonna see a forward translation of the tibia going forward. Here, as we kind of go frame to frame, you almost see like his femur looks like it shifts forward. You kind of see that? Now that could just be his weight shift. Maybe he's trying to activate the quad a little bit more, and then has pain and it gives out. But it's almost like you see the femur shift forward relative to the tibia, which would not be suggestive or consistent of an ACL. Even on this next step right here, again, we don't really see that classic like tibia shifting forward sort of position. So actually seeing all this, my first thought would be
Taking a closer look at the injury, Dr. Bryan argued that what happened to Conor McGregor wasn't a simple slip inside the octagon. Based on his review, McGregor's leg kept buckling every time he tried to bear weight on it. He noted the footage didn't show the telltale signs typically seen with a torn ACL. Instead, the way the leg moved pointed to something else entirely, possibly a meniscus injury. While only medical testing could confirm the true extent of the damage, his analysis helped explain why McGregor was unable to keep fighting after that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I had the man weak in the knees, I guess. So, all jokes aside, I just hope he's good. I know Conor been battling some stuff. Looked like he really been changing. He found God. He had his kids in there. So, during the fight, you could obviously tell his demeanor changed, And I was, shout out to the ref. I was trying to tell the ref sooner, like this guy's kids is front row, I don't want to see him take unnecessary damage. Trying to stop the fight, but this is how crazy Conor is. The first time he's on the ground, I was punching him. He's like, fight. I was like, okay. That's why I backed up. I said, stand up there. Let's fight. And then he fell back down, and then the fight was called.
I mean, you've been in the UFC octagon more than anybody, right? But I just wonder, you knew you had a wounded guy, but it's almost hard for you to stay mentally focused. Like, hold on, remember what we're here to do. I got to go hurt this guy.
Not at all, we killers. But at the end of the day, I'm a human being, you know what I mean? I think so, that's why.
Max Holloway opened up about what crossed his mind in the final seconds of the bout once he realized how badly Conor McGregor was hurt. He admitted to joking around in the moment, but insisted his real focus was on McGregor's well-being. He even revealed he tried pushing the referee to call an early stop, partly because McGregor's kids were watching Cage's side. McGregor, though, kept urging everyone to let the fight continue. Holloway pointed out that while fighters are conditioned to finish what they start, they're still human beings who don't want to watch an opponent take on needless punishment.
We don't see that shift. It doesn't mean that an ACL hasn't occurred. Just pointing out that we don't classically see it here to where I can say 100%. That's exactly what happened. So going back through this whole sequence again, this was the very start of the fight. McGregor comes down. As he goes and lands, that knee is going to twist and rotate. This is, yes, a compromising position that's challenging on the knee, but we don't see that classic tibia shift forward, pop backwards like you would to confirm like 100% that this is an ACL. The injury at the top of my differential is actually the lateral or the outer meniscus. Whenever he lands here, that is going to put a lot of load and twist on the knee, which can irritate an already injured meniscus or lead to a new injury of the meniscus. Again, though, this position, absolutely, we have to keep an ACL on the differential. I think, though, if we were going to see the ACL, it would have been in this position. We would have seen that knee rotate a little bit more. We would have seen the tibia shift. So I'm going to put ACL number 2 behind the meniscus number 1. Either way, just absolutely really devastating. I mean, I remember the last McGregor fight, he broke his leg. So to see him come back here, whether he was injured coming into the fight or this was a new injury, you got to wonder if this is going to be the end for him, if he can come back from another injury. If this is just a meniscus tear, that may still be surgical, but that is often a 3 to 6 month worst case scenario. Sometimes it's even just a month or two. Obviously, if this is more serious like the ACL, then we're going to be looking at a much longer absence. That's it for the video.
Dr. Bryan also weighed in on the question everyone wanted answered. Could this injury end Conor McGregor's career? After going back over the footage, he said a torn ACL remained possible, but the evidence leaned more toward a meniscus injury. He explained that while meniscus tears often require surgery, recovery tends to be considerably shorter than with an ACL tear. That said, if further testing does confirm a torn ACL, McGregor could be looking at another long road back. Coming off an already brutal leg break in his past, another major injury could seriously threaten what's left of his fighting career.
What do you make of this one at the weekend against Max? You've obviously competed against him before.
I loved the bout. A cracking contest, an iconic mixed martial arts contest with yours truly at the helm once again. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited about it, and I'm excited for it.
And just to finish off the back of this, what happens afterwards? You've talked about a second date next year. Do you want it this year?
Yes. Yes, I do. I wish for it this year. Now I've said my piece, and they've said their piece, and let's just get through this one, and I'm fine with that. So I'm going to prove what's what, and then we'll go back and see what's what.
Have you got your eye on anybody that you want to fight?
Anyone, to be honest. Not particularly, no. Not particularly.
Would you class this at the weekend, if you're victorious, as the greatest comeback in UFC history?
Yes, by far. You know, Holloway's body of work inside the octagon is highly impressive, and he's fought so many men, and you know, to come back and do what I'm gonna do, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be absolutely sensational.
People were fired up before the fight even started. Conor McGregor came into the bout with bold predictions, promising a historic comeback and even claiming he'd finish Max Holloway inside 10 seconds. He was convinced a win would go down as the greatest comeback in UFC history and would prove he was still among the most dangerous fighters in the sport. He seemed certain of it all.
To come back and say, like, yeah, no, I want to test myself. I want to even fight again. But I want to fight someone like Max. What do you think it says about him and his hunger still?
It says everything about him. I mean, when you think about it, throughout the history of fighting, tell me somebody who came back after this big of a layoff. I mean, Ali took 3 years and he wasn't the same when he came back. And I think that these are the kind of challenges that a guy like McGregor likes. If he wins on Saturday night, he will do something that nobody has ever done in any
After such a long layoff from combat sports, Dana White echoed just how significant Conor McGregor's comeback attempt really was. He noted that beating a fighter like Max Holloway after such an extended absence would have been a feat combat sports had never seen before. According to White, simply agreeing to take on that kind of challenge said a lot about McGregor's confidence and hunger, even after years away from competition.
Excuse me? Tell me I've got the wrong assumption. I feel your way to win is within 5 to 7 minutes.
I can destroy Max inside 10 seconds. I have knockouts inside 3 seconds on my fighting record. I have Hall of Fame fighters, multiples, Hall of Fame UFC fighters, defeated and destroyed, both together in under a minute. And I can add Max to that. However, don't get it twisted. If we go into these deep waters, Max is going to be in a lot of trouble, badly concussed.
What happened the first time? What happened the first time?
What happened the first time?
Yeah.
You were left in a wheelchair.
You shot.
That's what happened the first time.
You shot.
Once you go back, you don't go back.
You said fights don't even count if you don't knock people out.
You left the arena in Boston. Wheelchair bound.
We are 0-0.
I wheelchair bum ass out of that octagon.
We are 0-0 to your line, brother.
Ahead of the fight, Conor McGregor confidently predicted he'd put Max Holloway away in just 10 seconds. He referenced his history of fast finishes and made clear that even if the fight dragged into later rounds, Holloway would still be in danger. Those confident predictions only made the actual ending harder to believe. What was billed as one of the most anticipated comebacks in UFC history instead wrapped up in a way nobody saw coming. Instead of a triumphant return or a 5-round battle, fans were left with far more questions than answers. Can Conor McGregor bounce back from yet another serious injury? Will Max Holloway ever get the complete fight he was hoping for? And if McGregor returns, will the UFC finally book the trilogy? One thing's for sure, this story isn't finished. The flood of reactions from fighters, coaches, and analysts shows just how much this moment shook the MMA world. So now it's over to you. Do you think Conor McGregor has one more comeback left in him? Or was this the final chapter of his career? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more UFC coverage.